You have to fail to succeed. So there's no greater failure than being abruptly taken from a situation and put into something else. It's like, oh, wait a minute. Uh-oh, I'm either going to swim or sink here. And so I think that's critically important. And that is, a change in the family dynamic. That is moving to a new city. That is learning to adapt to new friends that weren't a part of your circle your whole life growing up. That it's those type things that you have to learn to adapt to figure out who you're going to be in life. And just so you think about that, and we've been, I'll frame it this way. We've been fortunate enough to have to go through relationships and move from states and move from locations and do different things. It's fortunate that I've gone through those situations to become who I am now. That's how I frame it. That's how I look at it.
Oh yeah, most definitely. And I like what you were saying too. If you don't fail, you don't know how to succeed. Because like if you succeed without ever failing, that success doesn't mean as much
No.
to you
Yeah.
unless you failed. Because, getting down and getting back up is so much more fulfilling than just standing up the entire time. Being able to have that triumph, to have that victory, because that's what it is. It's a victory.
Yeah.
Being able to adapt and overcome situations and having. It's always so interesting because I think about this too. Like, you always want to protect your child, right? You always want to make sure they have a great life, but then you also don't want to shelter them as much to where you feel like they're not having real life experiences. Isn't
Wow.
that crazy? Like,
Wow.
like for I mean, we've talked about the point where like because of some of our childhood trauma, it makes us who we are today, but it's like we don't want to put anyone through that childhood
Right.
trauma, but like are we who we are without that?
Yeah.
Like that's
Yeah.
the biggest thing.
It's mind-boggling to me how the universe works, bro, and how I just like compare the comparison of a web and the energy, and one vibration moves enough. Literally, just having this conversation with a couple of friends of mine whose kids are going through they wanted cell phones. They were the last in
Hmm.
their group of kids to have a cell phone, and the
Right.
parents were trying to hold out. And we were diving deep into the conversation of what you just said. Do you helicopter parent and shelter them and control them, or do you step back and allow them to make
Yeah.
mistakes, right? And either or can be critically damaging or critically successful in their upbringing,
Exactly.
right? You
Yeah.
can hurt them by over sheltering them and keeping them protected, or you can hurt them by just sending them out into the world and,
I
and they're
swear.
fucked up. But there has to be that. I think the theme for the last month of January, February for us is balance. It's about balancing that as a parent. You have to allow them to make mistakes. That's how they learn and grow to become functional adults. But you also have to provide them as a parent some protection and guidance. And so it's just figuring out that balance. But it's so funny that you bring that up, and it's literally a conversation I was just having with. That's how we're talking about it's all interconnected. So, and even more so, why we try to share on this show, it's like you are not alone. What you are
Hmm.
going through, everybody is going through at some point in their life. There is someone out there that is experiencing exactly what you are experiencing right now. They've been moved into a different state, or they lost a loved one, or the relationship just fell apart, or the job they thought they were going to get didn't work out. It's someone is there with you. Someone at that same thing up here on the web and you're down here is feeling that. And so going into it knowing that you're not alone, and that adaptability and changing environment and changing the surroundings of what you're dealing with, we're all going through that. We're all going to face that at some point in our lives, and knowing that you're not alone in that situation and helping each other through it, that's key. That's critical. We're all just uncomfortable feeling going, oh, how do I get through it? Don't feel bad about that. I mean, and sometimes it doesn't, sometimes you don't. Sometimes you're like, I can't adapt. This place just ain't for me. I got to get up out of here, kind of a thing. And that's okay too. That's one of the failures that we're talking about. Yep, failed to adapt here. Got to go. I mean, that's okay. So It's all about positive energy. It's all about how you approach it, how you think about it, and where you go with it, right? Because, like you said, there are so many things that are just not in our control, but how we deal with them is in our control. And so, yeah, I just taking it back to the top of where you started it all, I think that's just key. I really do think it's key. How you react to what happens to you is whether you fail or succeed or whether you're happy or unhappy. It's just fact.
Oh yes, most definitely, most definitely.